well, let me ask you this. Where do you think the Russians get the double-headed eagle? Just like the Germans had, just like the Spanish had, just like the Greeks had. That's the Russian one down there. But the capitals at one point in time were, how do you think Russia, prior to the revolution of 1917, Tsar Nicholas I, Tsar Nicholas II, they were what? Those were Christians. Russia was a Christian capital. During pre-World War I, the three Christian capitals of Europe were Germany, was Russia, and was England. Remember the Anglican Church. And then France also, it was like, that's what the major revolutions were about in Europe. They were about literally taking down monarchs and deconstructing, creating like a socialist, anti-religious society. That's what those revolutions were about. The French Revolution, that was done at the hands in France of the Jacobins. And then you had the Russian Revolution. Russia had to fly to World War I, if you recall. Russia was in World War I, and a damn revolution broke out. So they actually signed an armistice and had to go tend to the revolution. And Tsar Nicholas II ended up getting shot by I call him John, his name was Vladimir. I was going to say a beetle shot, executed Tsar Nicholas II and his family, but it was Vladimir Lenin and the Trotskyites that brought in socialism in Russia, just like the Jacobins had did it in France. Germany was, during the time of Otto von Bismarck. Otto von Bismarck was a contemporary of Abraham Lincoln. It was Otto von Bismarck, the Russian, who sent a fleet off of San Francisco's coast and New York to Abraham Lincoln during the time of the Civil War, because he knew what the British was trying to do to America. But when President Lincoln died, his statement was that Christendom has lost a great man. In other words, these were Christian capitals, the point I'm making. Anyway, getting back to the point, is they all carried the eagle. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They all carried the eagle. And it turns out that what? It turns out that the eagle is the fourth beast that Daniel was talking about. But as a matter of fact, let's do this, brother. Read verse 11 and 12. Okay? 2nd Ezra, chapter 12, verse 11 and 12. Go ahead.
Verse 11.
And at the next break, because you know I can't stand having not brought the right sign down. I'm going to go upstairs once we're done with this, before we go to the third part. And I'm going to bring down the sign and show you where Russia was part of the Roman Empire. And it was actually a third capital. People know Moscow was. It was Rome, Constantinople, and Moscow. And I'm going to actually bring down the article in the National Geographic book years ago that brought it out. All right, so we can see its authenticity. Go ahead, brother. Check 2nd Ezra chapter 12, verse 11 and 12.
Verse 11. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel.
Check that out. Go ahead.
Verse 12. But it was not expounded unto him.
But it was not expounded unto Daniel. Daniel didn't get the detail. Go ahead.
Therefore now I declare it unto thee.
And that's why we're going to have to come back after we're done with Daniel chapter 9, Daniel chapter 11, because we're covering 7 now. And go into 2nd Ezra 11, 12, 13, 15, and 16, so that we can get what the Most High gave Daniel. So showing you this is bad, because all the prophets got something, but none of them got it all. None of them could claim, they claim to be the only one who the Most High was working with. You understand? But when you take this puzzle and put it together, it comes out crystal clear. Now this is bad. I love it because now when you go back to Daniel chapter 7 and read verse 7 again, now your mind is open. You know what I mean? You don't have no doubt what beast is it. Esau, you put a lizard, the damn dragon. You know what I mean? Because what is the last thing Esau want people to know? The truth. The truth that's talking about him. So you back in Daniel now?
Yeah.
Chapter 7, verse 7. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7. After this, I saw in my visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly.
Now we know that fourth beast, its emblem was an eagle. Today it's so-called white man, Esau. Go ahead.
And it had great iron teeth.
Talking about a powerful military force. Go ahead.
It devoured and brake in pieces, and stabbed the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Now we're going to have to read about how it was diverse. You will go to 2 Maccabees, First Maccabees, chapter 8. You're going to read verses 1 through, I'll see when we get to 1 through 16, I believe it is. Second Ezra, I'm getting mixed up now, these first and second. First Maccabees, chapter 8, start at verse 1. What it's going to show you, when it says that it was different from the other beasts that were before it was its governmental structure. The Romans, the Babylonians, the Persians, and the Greeks, they all had established as their form of government monarchies. They were kings. And those monarchies were handed down to successors that were in their bloodline. You understand? That's how they did it. Then sometimes, if a king had 3 or 4 sons, they would break out a fight. They would all be legitimate heirs, but there would be one named heir. And this is, one brother didn't like the fact that he wasn't named, he wasn't the crown prince, because the crown prince is always, if there's 4 or 5 brothers, the crown prince is the prince who is known as going to succeed the throne. So, what the Romans had, it's going to explain in the Maccabees, Judas had heard about the Romans. So he liked the fact that the Romans was known for whooping ass to adversaries, but they would show the utmost loyalty to their friends, even as the boys would wage war and said that if they liked you and wanted you to be king, they said you were the king, and the other nations just had to deal with it. That's how the Romans dealt. But it says, for all their glory, nobody took the crown. In other words, it tells you how they would run. So let's read that. First Maccabees, chapter 8, verses 1 through 16.
First Maccabees in the Apocrypha, chapter 8 and verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the fate of the Romans,
the fourth beast, the eagle, go ahead,
that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them.
In other words, like the whole of them. It said what? And such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them. That goes back to the feet of iron with the miry clay. So they will mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead, because the other nations just kept subjects. You fought in an army, but you never got Persian citizenship. You know what I mean? You fought in an army, you never got Greek citizenship. Go ahead.
And make a league of enmity with all that came unto them.
Verse 2, meaning they will make a league of enmity, meaning is an alliance. Go ahead.
And that they were men of great valor. It was told them also of their wars and noble acts.
Go ahead and read it.
Which they had done among the Galatians.
In other words, it's showing the Romans have where the Galatians there. This is a different, right here. It said the Romans, now they had already worked their way all over here. They had whooped the Galatians' tails. Go ahead.
And how they had conquered them and proved them under tributes. Verse 3. And what they had done in the country of Spain, for the winning of the mines of the silver and gold which is there.
They whooped the Spaniards' ass. Took the gold and the silver mines. And this is going to make you know that this was pretty difficult to do because it was far away, it said. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And that by their policy and patience,
and by their what?
Policy and patience.
Meaning how they operated and the time. Like I told you, like the Romans would besiege the city. Maybe there for years, but starving your ass out and building war machines to get to penetrate your fortresses. Go ahead.
And that by their policy and patience, they had conquered all the place.
Going all of Spain. Go ahead.
Though it were very far from them.
And although it was far from Rome, they conquered. Go ahead.
And the kings also that came against them in the uttermost part of the earth.
You had other kings. Antiochus III, Antiochus the Great, one of the outstanding members of the